Happy Thanksgiving, part 2. And there's no more appropriate place to have a conversation about Thanksgiving than in front of the elephant in the room. Eh? Am I right? Am I right? But before we dive into a little Thanksgiving, truth or reflection, I thought I would share a bite of my chocolate mousse with you. Now, I know today the interwebs will be full of people making their own things, putting it in beautiful dishes to present, but I'm impassioned about it. And rather than putting it in a beautiful dish, I'm going to show you how I eat chocolate mousse, which is out of the tub next to some whipped cream, where I take 1 scoop of mousse.
1 mousse?
And 1 scoop of whipping cream.
Hashtag adulting. Have your mousse and eat it.
Just as good as homemade. Without the time commitment. Yes. That's how I do Thanksgiving. Well, hello. So, in front of the elephant in the room, we were going to have a quick conversation about, what would you say, the elephant in the room.
The elephant in the room is this day of celebration of togetherness, family, friends, bringing people together, letting go of those deep-seated things you may have resentment towards because it's the holidays.
Holidays.
I'm
just
gonna
stuff it down.
Put it over here,
Just
like
stuff.
this elephant, and just
On the
have
wall.
it look at me in the corner, and I pretend that it's okay.
There's
the
no
horrible
problem
thing
here.
you did to me last week.
It's fine.
It's the
fine.
holidays. 'Tis the season.
Yes, 'tis the season for swallowing your feelings
And your pride.
and keeping your resentments passively and where they belong, under the carpet. Don't talk about anything. Anyway, so one of the things, though, that is a result of all this, since people aren't having open, honest conversations, it's actually one of my pet peeves I've been on lately, is like people just not having direct conversations. But you can't do it on Thanksgiving, and you can't do it with everyone present. So,
Timing.
right. Timing is a factor. However, something that happens as a result of all these unresolved conversations, not that I would know anything about this, especially going to my in-laws today, but is how easy it is to make assumptions. And what are
And
assumptions?
expectations.
Assumptions and expectations. That's the conversation. So now we all know the saying about assumptions, right? When I make an assumption,
You make an ass out of you and me.
so when I feel like there's been an unresolved conflict, or I tend to have a little bit of angst, because, really all these videos are about me playing out life. Like, I get to be the tool, right, that this plays out. I'm not saying you should do this. This really applies to me in my life. But is when I have that going on, I assume people don't like me. It's easy to assume people have been talking about you. It's easy to take everything personally that they may or may not do, like not let you bring your lovely dog over for dinner. Hypothetically speaking, right? But it's so easy to make an assumption about where people are coming from. It's easy to assume they've all had a conversation about the conversation you had with one of them and have all gossiped about it excessively, perhaps, before you've shown up.
There's a whole council of discussion before your arrival. Everyone in the room got together and agreed on certain points
And
about
how much
you.
exactly about you. And we all feel this way, right? We really do. And let's be fair, if your family's anything like mine, those conversations have occurred.
They might.
Of course they have. But again, to assume that they have in someone else's family when I wasn't present isn't fair and doesn't set anyone up for success.
And especially mine, they're talking with their own little clique. They actually very, very rarely collectively both agree or communicate.
Well, and not only that, let's talk about this. So there's the reality or maybe what happened, and then there's what we can focus on or how we can process things so that it's effective. What does effective mean? It keeps you happy. It lets you have a good time. It's focusing on what works versus what we actually think happened or the obsession, right? So what actually works? Thinking about people talking about you or not liking you before you show up, it doesn't work. You're not going to have a good time.
And to that point, if you go back to part 1 of this little collection, we talk about... Spoke about... the whole purpose is to be happy. Thinking about what other people are thinking behind your back is not going to make you happy.
It's never going to make you
Don't
happy.
focus on things that won't make you happy.
Exactly. Which
So
leads us
don't do that.
So don't do that. So what do we do, right? The thing is, like, you just got to forget about it. Who cares what they said? You're not there. It doesn't matter. You know how you felt, and Source knows how you feel, and you have your own support group, but it doesn't really matter at the end of the day when we get caught up in those little things. It's about being able to be together and not be hung up on that stuff.
Just enjoy being together.
And the happier we are, and the less we think about it, or I should say the less we think about it, the happier we are, which means we can have more fun just being with people. And if they think you're a jerk, that sends a mixed message anyway. Right, exactly. And they're like, oh, well, maybe they're not so bad, right? But we can't do things in reaction to what other people are thinking. But to your point, I was going to do a quick reading from The Amazing Power of Deliberate Intent by Abraham, who's always talking about these things, that what you focus on matters, and isn't this about having fun? And you can't ever get the world to think of you a different way than they do. So, but before we go to that, we said assumptions and expectations.
Yes.
Why don't we speak on expectations for a moment? Expectations are preconceived resentments. So when you expect that someone's going to do a certain thing or treat you a certain way, and then they don't, you get upset. But oftentimes when we have expectations, they aren't explicit, they're implicit. We haven't actually told people what we expect. We haven't actually told them what we want, and then when they don't do it, we get hurt like they're supposed to know.
Simple example, like getting a thank you. You didn't do it for the thank you, but it's nice to get the thank you.
Right.
But you shouldn't be resentful if you don't.
But yeah, otherwise you did it just for the thank you, and that's not really giving
Check
or doing
yourself.
something. Check yourself. That's right. So it's also about going into experiences and letting people be who they are, and not having expectations that they behave how you think they should. There's nothing that's going to work out well there. So the more we can go into it. So as it says here in chapter 9, truth is all about your focus. So it says, when your attention is focused upon something that you are observing in your present moment, something you're considering or pondering or remembering from your past, something you're explaining, something you're imagining or fantasizing, you are offering a vibration. And the law of attraction is responding to that vibration. So each time you visit that subject, the process of attracting other vibrations of the same frequency increases, so your signal on that subject gets stronger. So the more we think about other people or what they may or may not think about us, especially if it's not only will steal our happiness, but also will cause more of it. So if you don't want people to gossip about you, don't think about it, because if you're obsessing about it, it's going to happen.
And also, you probably won't prove the point if you're not thinking about it. If you are thinking about it, you'll probably do the thing they were saying.
You are going to do.
You will do it because you're thinking about the thing that they already expected you to do. You are manifesting that reality.
You are, and you're going to be colder. Yeah. You're not going to be as friendly.
They're exactly like I thought.
I thought she was a cold bitch, and it's like,
knew it.
Really, I wasn't being friendly because I was thinking about all the things you probably
said
me. And getting real mad about it.
Yeah, I'm actually a great person, damn it.
So then you become exactly the thing that they've said, right? This is just how we create our lives and relationships. So it says the more you focus upon a subject, the more active that vibration is, and the more of that, which is a vibrational match to it, is attracted to it. So eventually you'll start to see the physical evidence that matches the essence of the way you've been feeling about the subject. So when we say things again, like my family doesn't like me, nobody gets me, these people don't like me, I always have a terrible time when I go there, that's what happens. It's just going to be inevitable. It can't be any other way, because you've decided that this situation is what it is. They think what they think. And so you're going to be proved correct, because it's the universe's job to prove that you're correct all the time, even when you don't want to be.
If one person thinks something, it's quite strong. If two people think something, it's much stronger.
And so if you talk about it
into
a
the same
lot,
thing they think, it's probably going to happen. It's likely if you just think it. It's very likely if you both start thinking.
Well, you start having an even stronger attraction point, right? When two minds are joined, it becomes stronger and stronger. Like it says here, often people will explain that their rationale for giving their attention to a subject is because the subject is true. It's true that they think this way of me, or it's true that she's mean to me, or, they've never liked me, or whatever it is. Like, we think it's true and we're reacting to it. But although there are many subjects that are true that you would like to personally experience, there are also many subjects that are true that you would not like to personally experience. It's not important whether it's true or not, but whether or not you want to experience the truth of your experience, or the truth of it in your experience. Anything focused upon long enough must become truth. So it's about what we're focusing on and how we feel about it that actually creates it. So we have to get to a place where rather than saying, well, it's this way, so this is how I'm reacting, we say, what do I want to feel? I want to feel happy. And what do I want in my family? Connectivity, openness, connection, joy, fun. So that's what I have to believe, even if it hasn't been shown to me as true. How do you feel I can manifest this in my experience today?
Have fun. Enjoy the food. See something positive, comment on it. I like that.
Right.
Remember your card earlier, again, at part 1. Yours was to say yes.
Ah.
Yeah. Your card was yes.
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 Mm-hmm.
Thankfully, there'll also be children there. Children always make things easier, I think, because you can just play with the kids, and just focus on them and being happy. But so often we think that things are happening because we don't have control over them. And it's a whole different way to think that we have control. You have a huge impact on any of the situations you're in today and social situations. Like I was thinking of one friend that always says, my sister's always mean to me. She never likes me. She's always mean to me. She talks about it a lot. So really her sister can't be any other way.
It's really easy for her to just continue to do that.
And then it just continues to be true because it's all you're talking about. It's all that person can do.
And the more you talk about it, the more people say, oh, that's such a shame that your sister is so terrible to you. Again, that's now multiple people thinking the same thing.
And then you get empathy for it, but really it doesn't make you happy. So I guess a lot of this is about thinking about who you want to be, whether or not something makes you happy, how you want to focus.
And think about the positive way you can say yes. Even something is like, no, how could you say yes?
And how can you make that elephant in the room really just a pretty picture on the wall?
I love you. And happy Thanksgiving again.
Happy Thanksgiving. Ta-ta, we're off to dinner. Perhaps we'll bring some footage of that.
Part 3.